In 2007, another star lit up the Hollywood sky, and everyone believed she had an incredible future ahead of her. This actress was compared to Marilyn Monroe and dubbed the next Angelina Jolie. Her name was Megan Fox. Her earnings from just one movie skyrocketed from a few $1,000s to several million. Various publications featured her on their covers and hailed her as the most beautiful actress of the modern era. However, these days, the actress mainly appears in a few trial films that don't make it to theaters. While Bruce Willis might appear in such films for a couple of days of shooting, Megan Fox has to spend several weeks on them. Today, let's remember the rapid rise and fall of this actress and delve into some of her works. Megan's career started at the beginning of the 2000s. She had small roles in a few films and made her way through the ranks in director Michael Bay's Bad Boys. It was hard to notice her in those early roles, but if you tried, you could. Interestingly, this particular episode often receives criticism in the United States. If we take a closer look at some moments in Bay's career, some of which will come up later, it's somewhat surprising that he still gets to make movies. He didn't emerge as a very likable person. At that moment in Bad Boys, Megan Fox was only 15 years old. This fact outraged many, questioning how Hollywood allowed a child to appear in such a scene and what the talented director was thinking. After this powerful role, Megan moved from the second tier to the third tier. In 2004, she appeared in several projects, with the most successful being the comedy Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, in which Lindsay Lohan played the lead role. The film wasn't a massive box office hit, but it managed to gross $30 million in the United States with a $15 million budget. It is believed that thanks to this film and her role in it, Megan Fox landed her next film, Transformers. In reality, Megan had a bit of luck on her side. From 2004 to 2005, she went through numerous auditions, hoping to become a star. She came close to landing a role in the horror film The Amityville Horror, but in the final stages of casting, she lost out to Melissa George. It's entirely possible that if she had landed one of the leading roles in that horror film, someone else would have been cast in Transformers. Since the film went through 10 different scripts and production was stretched over a couple of years, they started looking for actors in advance. Megan was fortunate not to be tied down to any project at that time. Director Michael Bay also instructed her to gain 10 pounds of muscle. So, for several months, Megan Fox dedicated herself to working out on every piece of gym equipment, making sure she stayed in the spotlight. Additionally, her character in the film was named Mikaela Baines, but there is nothing official about whether this was a joke from the creators. The only actor who received a substantial fee for Transformers was Shia LaBeouf. He was constantly ridiculed and humiliated on set. He claims that he refused to sign up for additional security and food, despite producer Steven Spielberg's pleas. Megan, on the other hand, agreed to appear in the credits for the sake of her name, as did many other actors. Tyrese Gibson even claims that he had to pay the producers to ensure his name wasn't forgotten in the credits. Apart from her name, Megan Fox brought something else to Transformers. At least, this is often written about, and no one officially denies this information. The actress claims that it was thanks to her that the band Linkin Park appeared in the film. Fox recounted attending a Linkin Park concert, after which the musicians met her, already knowing that she was in the movie Transformers. They persuaded her to convey to the producers her desire to make a cameo in the film, which she ultimately did. In 2007, Transformers hit the big screens and had the effect of an exploding bomb. Globally, the $150 million film grossed $709 million. Hasbro sold a record number of toys in its history. Plus, the film ignited the DVD market, setting a record for first-week sales and claiming the top spot for the year. Celebrities who appeared in Transformers woke up to newfound fame. Even Tyrese Gibson, who was promptly signed up for Death Race and later brought back into the Fast and Furious franchise. Shia LaBeouf's earnings skyrocketed from $400,000 to $8 million. Megan Fox was also not forgotten. While she received a friendly pat on the back for the first Transformers, she was paid $800,000 for the second installment. It's anyone's guess how much various brands paid her to endorse their products. Between the two Transformers films, Megan signed up for a couple of other movies, which were in production before the first Transformers hit the big screen, so she didn't earn much from these films. However, for the comedy with Simon Pegg titled How to Lose Friends and Alienate People, the actress could have expected career growth. At the time, Simon Pegg was considered a rising star after the success of Shaun of the Dead and Run, Fat Boy, Run. His new project, in which Jeff Bridges and Kirsten Dunst also appeared, was anticipated to be a big success. However, the film barely managed to gross $19 million in theaters, despite a budget of $28 million. Megan's second comedy, titled Jennifer's Body, completely missed the big screens and went straight to video. Following the colossal success of the first Transformers, the production of the second film was naturally rushed, which meant the screenplay hadn't been thoroughly reviewed, unlike the first one. Additionally, a writer's strike further complicated matters, and the film was shot based on rough drafts written by a couple of writers in just 3 weeks. However, this didn't negatively affect the box office. Megan Fox often talks about her suffering during the making of this film. Firstly, Michael Bay was very displeased that the actress managed to lose weight between the first and second films. So Fox was put on a strict diet of pastries, overseen by a specially trained person. In 3 weeks, she regained the 7 kilograms that had disappeared, a fact that Michael Bay noticed. However, this time, due to the rush, the weight didn't go into muscle, and it became noticeable in the film that the actress had gained some weight. Fox is most outraged by a scene in which she was placed on a moped wearing shorts. She claims that they filmed her with 10 cameras that constantly moved back and forth. She was told that the main camera would approach her face, and everything else would be in the background and not of particular interest. In the final version, there were no shots from the stationary camera in the film, but there were plenty from the others, which were mostly positioned behind her. Overall, the actress often likes to emphasize that she is not the way she is portrayed in many films. She grew up in a very religious family, and all of Michael Bay's angles always irritated her. Although Revenge of the Fallen was practically shot without a script, which constantly upset Michael Bay. The film performed exceptionally well in theaters. With a budget of $200 million, it grossed $836 million worldwide. Alongside Transformers, where Fox was tied to a 3-film contract and couldn't negotiate an astronomical fee, the actress also managed to appear in the film Jennifer's Body. Although it was shot before the release of the second Transformers, she received $5 million for her participation. Jennifer's Body, despite its modest budget, was one of the most heavily advertised films of the year, thanks to the people involved in its production. The screenplay for this film was written by Diablo Cody, who, in 2007, had a budget of $7 million for Juno. It grossed $231 million worldwide. Diablo Cody was immediately hailed as an incredible talent and showered with money. People expected something similar to the success of Juno from Jennifer's Body, but it didn't happen. In theaters, the $16 million film grossed only $31 million. The director of this film, Karen Kusama, who had previously made Aeon Flux, a far more spectacular production that flopped at the box office, blamed the studio's advertising campaign for its failure. According to her, the studio did everything wrong when it came to promoting this film. They marketed it as some youth comedy starring Megan Fox, which it wasn't. Although the movie was about something else, and if the studio had listened to her, it would have been a hit in theaters. Megan Fox agrees with such conclusions and considers Jennifer's Body the best film of her career. Following Jennifer's Body, the expensive film Jonah Hex, which no one needed anymore, was a flop when it finally reached theaters in 2010, grossing only $11 million. In general, it became clear that despite Fox's popularity during those years, audiences weren't rushing to theaters to see her. However, the main blow to her career was delivered by Transformers 3, or more precisely, her absence in the third film. There is a lot of different information now about why Fox left the film, even though she was preparing for her role in it at the time. Initially, Michael Bay, the director, was blamed for everything. He didn't like that the actress called him a tyrant in interviews and even compared him to Hitler. However, the actress herself never said that she was fired from the film. Michael Bay denied it as well. And when all the noise died down and Fox was replaced by Rosie Huntington-Whiteley in the third film, it turned out that the producer of the film, Steven Spielberg, was the one who had enough of all these statements about fascists on the set. Bay later said that after one of these interviews, Spielberg called him and demanded that this actress have nothing to do with the film tomorrow. At that time, you often heard statements that Spielberg had nothing to do with it, and Bay simply used Spielberg as a cover to deflect all the bullets. But in 2013, when Megan Fox was no longer needed by many, Michael Bay cast her in the leading female role in his own production, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Since Bay had repeatedly stated that he was not offended by Fox's statements, it is unlikely that he was involved in her removal from Transformers. Although you can find statements on the internet that Steven somewhere denies his involvement in Fox's departure. But Fox's career hasn't been going well since 2010. She stopped being called for major roles in big films, except for her invitation by Bay to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 years later. She had to take on roles in what could be described as passion projects, which Mickey Rourke, who also appeared in some of them, simply called another incredibly crappy movie he got involved in. However, Fox's popularity didn't fade quickly, and she was still invited for cameo roles, such as her appearance in Sacha Baron Cohen's The Dictator. One could consider her role in the romantic comedy This Is 40, directed by the very popular director Judd Apatow at the time, a modest success. However, it turned out that this film didn't live up to expectations, receiving modest audience ratings at the box office with a gross of $88 million against a $40 million budget. Here, Fox was still planning to move into the B category. However, her plans were postponed precisely when Michael Bay and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came into play. Although the first film was heavily criticized, it performed decently at the box office. With a budget of $125 million, it grossed $485 million. But the luck didn't continue with the second installment. Despite a budget increase to $135 million, it only managed to scrape together $245 million worldwide. There was no one left to save the actress, and after the Turtles, her career took a turn for the unknown. When the actress made feeble attempts to appear in something else, it turned out to be a film by James Franco, which shelved her for a whole 3 years and was released straight to video. Nowadays, some professional decided to turn Fox into an action star. It's unknown who came up with this idea and why it continues, but the actress has appeared in several action films made for TV and streaming. The audience ratings for these films are around 5 out of 10, and that should hint at something. However, she was cast in The Expendables 4, where all action movie fans can see her in action once again. One of her latest films, Midnight in the Switchgrass, is one of the best-rated films of Bruce Willis, at least in his current career phase. Usually these films have an audience rating of 4 out of 10, but the film with Megan Fox was rated 5 out of 10 by viewers. Surprisingly, Megan Fox is doing well with advertising contracts. Whatever she does with her appearance, she has them, and they should allow her to live decently. Yes, a couple of years ago, she broke up with the star of Beverly Hills 90210, and many believe that she has finally blossomed. And perhaps she will manage to relaunch her career after all, especially now she is back on the covers of various tabloids due to her encounters with a well-known guy who can sing with his mouth. I don't know how good he is, but it seems to be helping her career as well. She's already made it into The Expendables. And no matter how those movies turn out, in the end, it will still be slightly higher-level cinema than her last few dollar-made films. She's 37 now. Returning to the level she was at in the early 2000s will be difficult, or rather, nearly impossible. But the world is a strange place. Maybe Megan Fox will get lucky. Thanks for your attention. Stay tuned. This video was prepared by the Hustler channel.